Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Tuesday, June the 10th, 2014. It's been a while since I did my last show, and the reason it's been a while is because there was no real big sports topic that I wanted to talk about. I got tired of talking about the Donald Sterling saga, so I really didn't want to go no more through that. But there's two particular topics that are of interest here in New York, and they both reside at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. And I'm talking about both the Rangers and the New York Knicks. Now, before I get to the New York Knicks, I want to first talk about the New York Rangers because they happen to be in the Stanley Cup Finals against the LA Kings. Now, a lot of analysts want to get on TV and sound intelligent about, well, the Rangers is not doing this, or the Kings is doing that, or yada, 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 as to why one team wins and another team loses. Folks, hockey is like every other team sport, okay? It comes down to one key position. Now, it doesn't mean that other positions are not important. In every sport, every position has its importance, okay? But when it comes to team sports, there is one position that we call the key position. And if you're lacking in that position, more often than not, you're going to lose. You're only going to go but so far. Gone are the days where you can win with bad quarterbacking, or bad pitching, or bad point guard play, or bad goaltending. See, hockey is just like baseball. Baseball is about pitching. Okay? Show me who your pitchers are. I'll let you know if you got a chance to win or not. In basketball, it's the point guards. Show me who your point guards is. That'll tell me whether you're going to be able to win or not. If you have a chance to win or not. In football, it's all about the quarterback. Show me who your quarterbacks are. I'll tell you if you got a chance to win. And hockey, it's about goaltending, folks. Okay? We can sit here and talk about all the other important positions, and there are a lot of other important positions and a lot of other things factor in to teams winning and losing. But if you want to look at the major cause, just look at the key positions. Okay? And I'm going to tie in why the Rangers are losing. Just go by looking at the other team that resides at the Garden, the Knicks. How did the Knicks go from winning 54 games in 2013, 2013, to 37 victories in 2013-2014 season? It's real simple. Once Jason Kidd retired and became the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, remember, Kidd, even at his advanced age, is a Hall of Fame point guard. So you go from having a Hall of Fame point guard to having Raymond Felton. And you wonder why there was a huge drop-off. Well, hockey is the same way, folks. You need your netminder, the goaltender, to be a star. He doesn't have to have a star name, but he has to play like a star. And the reason the Rangers are down 3-0 in this series, folks, you can talk about Rick Nash not scoring, Brad Richardson not scoring. You can talk about all those other things, okay? But let's just be honest. You're losing this series because Henrik Lundqvist has been, at best, average. And average in the Stanley Cup Finals is not good enough. And for those who want to dispute this and say, no, well, it's Rick Nash, he's got to score more, which is true. He needs to put some points on the board, and Richards needs to put some points on the board. Folks, in hockey, you're not going to get high-scoring games. In hockey, if you're scoring over 3 goals a game, you're doing good. Okay? In hockey usually 2-1, 3-2. Okay? Especially when you get deeper and deeper into the postseason, it becomes harder and harder to score goals. So when the Rangers with the Game 3, that was a collective effort as to them losing. But I'm putting the blame on Lundqvist in games 1 and 2, because here's why. In Game 1, you had a 2-0 lead. You lost the game 3-2. You couldn't hold the lead. Okay, that happens. What about game 2? Again, you had a 2-0 lead. And then on top of that, you had a 4-2 lead. So you had 3 2-goal leads in the first 2 games. 3 2-goal leads. Do you realize in hockey how difficult it is to make up a 2-goal deficit? Now for the Kings, they've made it a habit of doing this. But generally, it is difficult to make up a 2-goal deficit in hockey. Usually, if you are trailing by 2 or more goals, you're generally going to lose the game. And guess what? The Kings were in position to lose. The Rangers were in position to win. But what really bothered me more than game 1 was game 2. Game 2, you had a 4-2 lead heading into the third quarter period. Then the third goal happened, and that's when the Rangers fell apart because some people questioned whether they should have counted or not. It's irrelevant. Everybody's focusing on, well, whether the third goal should have counted. Oh, that was the turning point of the game, yada, 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 yada. If my memory serves me correct, the Rangers still had a lead. They still had a lead. At that point, you're asking your goalie, shut it down. Stop the other team. If you don't allow that puck to come get into the net, nobody's talking about the third goal in game 2. It's just another blip in history. Because what? The Rangers win game 2. Guess what? This is an entirely different series. But instead, Henrik Lundqvist did not get the job done. He allowed them to tie the game, and then they won it in overtime. I'm sorry, but when your team gives you 4 goals, you cannot complain about offense. You can't complain about, well, this guy isn't getting the job done or that guy isn't getting the job done. Now I got to look at your goalie. When your team puts 4 points on the board, I got to now look, and you lose the game, I got to look at your goaltender. He didn't get the job done. And then in last night's game, now I'm not going to put all the blame on Lundqvist because the team didn't score a goal. But that first goal was a soft goal. You can't allow that puck to go into that net for the first goal. That deflated the team. The team could say what they want, but they was deflated at that point. Okay? So you see, we can sit here and talk about Rick Nash and Richards and this guy and that guy. Oh, this player on the Kings and that player on the Kings. At the end of the day, Quick, their goalie, has been better than the Rangers goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist. That's the reason why the Rangers are down 3-0 in the series. And unless Henrik gets it together and get it together fast, the Rangers will get swept. Now, when I come back, I'm going to transfer over to the New York Knickerbockers. Welcome to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. I want to now talk about the New York Rangers. I mean, not the New York Rangers, sorry, the New York Knickerbockers, the other team that resides at the world's most famous arena. Today, they hired their new head coach, Fisher. And why is this important? Or why should I say this is a good hire? Here's why this is a good hire, folks. First of all, Fisher is very well respected around the league, okay? A very gritty player, a very good player. Not a star player, not a superstar, but he knew how to play the position. He knew how to play the game. Very smart. And what you want as your head coach is you want guys who are smart. Smart guys tend to figure it out. Okay? Not only that, more importantly, he's very well respected. And that is very important. You want a guy who is respected and who can command respect. Now, should this or will this affect the decision that Carmelo makes whether to stay or leave? Do not know, but I say that this cannot hurt. Here you got Phil Jackson and you got Fisher. Guys with rings. Okay? Guys with rings. And that's what you want. Guys with rings. Guys who know what it takes to get the job done. Now, granted, Fisher has never technically been a head coach, and Phil Jackson has never technically been a president of basketball operations. But you don't have to technically been something before. I mean, before Pat Riley took over as president of basketball operations in the Heat, he was never technically president of basketball operations. So that's a position you grow into. It's either you know what you're doing or you don't, folks. I think Larry Bird has then showed you what a good president of basketball operations is capable of doing. Guys who know what they're doing just know what they're doing. Guys who don't, well, they just don't. All right? And this, the Knicks, they're nowhere close to being competitive. Folks, that is not true. The media, again, this is what we call classic case of living in the moment, which the media is guilty of. Okay? The media is guilty of living in the moment. It's a classic case of living in the moment. For example, a year ago at this time, the Knicks just came off a pretty successful season and even postseason. They was one game really away from going to the conference finals. Okay? They were a 54-win team. This year, they were a 37-win team. And like I said in my previous segment, in the previous segment, okay? The reason the Knicks are not is because, unfortunately, you went from Jason Kidd as your point guard to Raymond Felton. And if you don't think that matters or that's a big difference, you really don't understand how sports work, particularly how basketball works. That's a big, big drop-off. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about on this. Okay? The Knicks is a decent point guard away from being where they were at this point last year. They're just one good, decent point guard away. Notice I use the word decent. You want to know, I'm going to tell you something, folks. The Knicks are in better shape than the Indiana Pacers. Now, you say, well, the Indiana Pacers, how could that be? The Indiana Pacers were the number 1 seed. The Indiana Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, and the Indianapolis Pacers are also stuck. Because why? They got a contract that's on their books that's an albatross. George Hill, their point guard. He's basically a taller version of Raymond Felton. Okay? If you want to know why they're never going to beat Miami, just look at their point guard position, Indiana. And until they fix that, they got no shot against the Miamis of the world. Okay? They was even fortunate to even get back to the conference finals. Or the conference championship, I like to call it the Eastern Conference Championship. They were fortunate because Atlanta should have knocked them out. If Atlanta just knew what the hell they were doing, Atlanta should have knocked them out. Okay, so we can talk about Lance Stevenson all we want. Oh, well, Lance Stevenson, the headache. Look, at the end of the day, you don't want Lance Stevenson running your offense. You don't want Paul George running your offense. You need a decent point guard running your offense. Okay? Now, that's what makes the whole thing with the Knicks very interesting. Because the triangle, you don't need a great point guard. You just need a decent point guard. You just need somebody who understands what to do, who to get the ball in what person's hands at what time. That's what you really need to be successful in the triangle. You don't need a great point guard, but you need someone who's competent. You need 5 guys on the floor who's competent. Okay? And another thing that makes the Knicks more attractive at this point in Indiana, besides the fact of George Hill's contract, is that the Knicks, after this upcoming season, folks, a lot of all those contracts come off the books. So the Knicks could really put the kind of team. Stop trying to look for those Kevin Loves and all the other guys, them big key free agents. Try to put the right team around Carmelo so you can win. Get guys who are the right fit. That's what Phil Jackson should be focusing on at this point with the Knicks. If Carmelo chooses to stay. And if not, then you just rebuild this team. Now, will the Knicks win the championship next year? No, they will not. Okay? They're not going to win the championship next year. Hell, they're not even going to probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. But there's no reason why you can't say they can't be competitive next year. They can be, because the Knicks are not as bad as they looked this past season. And everybody's looking at the Knicks this past season as to what they think the Knicks really are. And the Knicks is not as bad as they looked this past season. This past season, basically injuries, and not only that, more importantly, they quit on the coach until Phil came on board, and all of a sudden, now guys remembered how to play the game. But by then, it was just too late. But they had quit on Mike Woodson. It was clear. The writing was on the wall. Okay? And so, I look at the Knicks with their new head coach, and I see some possibilities here. Now, the first order of business before you can go through anything else, you got to find out, is Carmelo on board or not? If he's not, then you got to build this team around, or rebuild this team around someone else. You got to find someone else. But either way, if I'm Phil, I'm not really making many moves this year other than looking to get a point guard. Somebody who can run the position. That's the only move I'm looking to make this year. I'm not looking to make any other moves this year. Because why? I want all these contracts coming off the books, so this allows me to rebuild this team the right way. The way I see fit, that's going to help you win a championship. Or at the very least, compete for one. Because winning a championship also takes a little luck too. Okay? But you want to be in a position where you're the Miamis and the San Antonios. Look at San Antonio. They can bring this player in or that player in, and every year they're still competitive. Every year they're still up there. And guess what? San Antonio's going to be competitive again next year. Because why? They got the players who buy into the system that they're running, which the ball touches everybody's hands. Notice you got guys cutting and guys doing this and guys doing that. So it allows the role players to really get comfortable and get acclimated into the game. So hopefully Carmelo and the Knicks and a lot of other teams around the league is looking at these finals, and this is what you call a basketball exhibition of how you play the game. The ball moves on both teams, Miami and San Antonio. The ball moves. It's not sticking to one side or one player or just two players. That's the reason why San Antonio's in the in the finals, and not OKC. OKC is very talented, but the problem is the ball is really being mostly shot by two players, with an occasional third, but mostly by just two players. You already know coming down, mostly it's going to be either Westbrook or Durant taking the shot. That's too predictable. When you look at San Antonio, Boris Diaw might take the shot. Or Green might take the shot. Or Splitter, Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, Who knows? Whoever's on the Mills, whoever they got on the floor, if he's open, look for him to get the ball and take the shot. That's just how the Spurs operate. And it's actually beautiful to watch. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. I'll talk to you guys later.